So it's finally Premier League predictions time. After every YouTuber, news broadcaster, and social media handler have already made theirs, it's finally time to find out the real 1000% accurate predictions as the Premier League script has finally been leaked to me. I know everything from Man City's court case outcome to Todd Bowley's shopping list. But today we'll focus on the Premier League table. Honestly, the time after the first international break is actually the best time to make these prediction videos, with the transfer window officially shut and the state of all clubs being much more clearer. So, without hesitation, let's start this vid. So, we'll start with the relegation fodder and go all the way up to the champions. Let's start with 20th place, and I believe that would be Wolves. So, Wolves have a very bad squad, to be very honest. They gave away Cunha to Manchester United. They don't really have a lot of good attacking options. Thank God they kept Stan Larson, but I don't feel that the defense is anywhere good to keep them above the relegation places. I know 20 is a bit harsh, but I really think the championship teams which have come up this year are much better than what Wolves are at the moment, at least what they're showing at the moment. And the transfer window or whatever business they have done in the transfer window has not given me any confidence that anything is going to change with Wolves. And they lost by 4 goals to a very average Manchester City in the first day of the Premier League. They don't really feel very confident. And I think so. It's been a while since they have been relegated. That's not a reason I think they'll get relegated, but I think so. There's a lethargy and there's no real project with Wolves in mind. They're not going anywhere. So I think so. There's going to be a reset, and with the championship clubs being pretty good, I think so. Wolves can get and will get relegated. 20th place for them. Then we have Burnley, the worst out of the championship sides which have come up this year. Burnley under Scott Parker are defensively rigid, but their quality isn't there. The players they've got aren't that great. And out of all the other championship teams as well, their business was the least likely to have any potential from this Premier League season. So I think so Burnley are going to get relegated as well at 19th place. Then we have, who do we have? Let's see. Not Arsenal. Not Sunderland. Leeds. Leeds. Okay. I think so it's between Leeds and West Ham. So there's a big issue with West Ham. Let's talk about West Ham first because I think so it's a very interesting take. They won the Conference League a few years back and now they can actually get relegated. Do I think they'll get relegated? You know, it's much more nuanced than that. I think so. Potter was the one who's making them look worse than what they are. And if they get a Mourinho or Nuno Espirito Santo, I think so they'll stay up. And that's one of the only reasons I am not tipping them to go down is because I think so a new manager bounce will keep them up safely. And Bowen and Paqueta are very good players, but they are just not a great team. Their players, there's a lot of lethargy in that midfield. Suchek, so old, he'll be ran through by other teams. So West Ham don't really have anything that will give them a good push towards lower middle table, higher lower middle table. But I think so they'll be very close to relegation, but will just about not be relegated. So I think so Leeds will be the one who gets relegated and West Ham goes into 17th. So with Leeds, I think so Leeds is going to get relegated. Even though I think so they have done decent business and they've been backed by some powerful people, the Red Bull people. But quality wise, again, there's this margin, there's this big gap between Premier League and Championship. And I think so, even with the business that Leeds have done, it's just very difficult to stay in the Premier League these days for Championship sides coming up. And I think so, they'll give it their best. I think so, it's going to be very close, but Leeds will just about get relegated. So that will make a bottom four, with West Ham being 17th and Leeds being 18th. It has to be Brentford. Brentford have been decimated as well. Visa gone, Frank gone, Embo gone, sorry. But I think so. The most important person they lost was Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank was everything to them. The team, they have lost key players before. They lost Ivan Tony, they were fine. But Frank and his system were what was making Brentford tick. And I do believe the Moneyball approach is pretty clear to everyone and they know what they're doing. So even if they lost Thomas Frank, I think so they have a very clear plan in their mind in place. And I think so they have made decent enough money and will use it next year to build an even better squad. And I think so it's going to be a bumpy ride, but they will be safe. They will be quite comfortably safe, in my opinion, and they'll come in 16th. Then I think so this is going to be an interesting shout. But Forest, who got sixth last sixth, no, they were seventh, I think so, last year. The thing with Forest is they were 17th, they came seventh, and now I'm telling you guys that they'll go back down to 15th. So obviously, it's up to the fact that Nuno Espirito Santo has been sacked for absolutely no reason but because he was not on good terms with the owner, and the owner is a devil, obviously, allegedly. Sorry. And the thing about Nottingham Forest is that Nuno Espirito Santo used to play in a very particular system, and the new boss, Ange Postecoglou, he plays a very different system. Nuno was defensive, Ange is attack attack minded with the high line, and it's going to be confusing for the players. It will take some while to adjust to that system, and I think so. Ange might get sacked in that whole ruckus. I hope he doesn't get sacked. He's a nice dude, but if he can't implement his system quickly, I think so Forest will be in a lot of trouble. Not relegation trouble, but they'll not soar to the heights they did last season. So we have had 15th place. So let's see 14th. Who do I think will be 14th? It has to be Sunderland. So Sunderland is quite high in this list, and I think so they deserve it because their team is actually very good. Out of all the relegation teams and some Premier League clubs which were already up as well, their business has been outstanding. Firstly, getting Granit Xhaka from Bayer Leverkusen is stuff of dreams. The fact that they were able to do that business alone shows intent that neither of the clubs before in this list or the stable have shown. They've had a way better transfer window than West Ham, Brentford, even Nottingham Forest. I think so. Their transfer business has been top three in the Premier League this season, and they've already seen the fruits of that. They won two out of their first three games, and I think so. They're going to be quite solid this season, and they'll stay up quite comfortably, and that's quite refreshing to see because championship clubs don't really stay in the Premier League for long these days. So a proper championship club for such a long time now, Sunderland will finally make a footing in the Premier League, and it's nice to see. Next, next we'll have oof, Fulham. Fulham, like they've got Kevin from Donetsk. He's quite interesting, I think. He'll cause a lot of troubles. Other than that, they haven't done any business. They haven't lost any key players as well. So I don't think so. There's the net negative that other teams have gone through before in this list. They're quite comfortable in the position they have. I don't think so. The players have also regressed that much. Evan Smith Rowe and co. Next, it's a debate. Let's see. We have Everton and we have Palace. I think so. Everton will be 12th and Crystal Palace will be 11th. I think so. Everton will start very strongly this season, but they'll have a very dramatic fall off as well. And I think so. The high they are experiencing now is because of their new stadium and the new vibes that is brought in. David Moyes had already brought the vibe in last season, and it's all going well for them. But I think so. The quality will prevail of the other teams, and Everton will find themselves in higher middle table. I would like to see them way above this. But I think so they will get better as things go on. And I think so next season they might actually challenge for Europe. But this season, I think so a 12th place finish is quite decent. Then Crystal Palace 11th, even after losing Eze, I think so they have a very good squad with Mateta, with Wharton, and with Key obviously still staying at the club, not getting his dream Liverpool move. I think so that will cause a lot of problems for Palace next year with the money and the PSR. But this year, they're fine. Probably another deep cup run. And the usual 11 spot always there for them. So it will be another mid season for Crystal Palace. Then we have, let's see, I think so we'll have Aston Villa finishing 10th. I don't think Aston Villa will be very good this season. I think so. Emery might lose a lot of fans this season as well. And next year, he has the potential to be sacked. I don't think he'll be sacked this year, but I think so. He is down in the chopping list because something about Aston Villa's team doesn't feel right. I think so. They need a rebuild. Their team peaked already. They've been good consistently for 3 years. And after that, their attack is not good at all. They have Watkins, but they haven't scored a goal yet in any of their first four matches. And I think so, while defensively they are quite solid, I think so they are missing some spark. And I think so the fact that they didn't get Champions League last season really hurt them. And with PSR, they had to sell quite a bit of players, couldn't sign any new players. I think Aston Villa is going to suffer this season. The ninth place, see, Manchester United is not good for their level. I think they will get there eventually with Amorim or not with Amorim. But they need a midfielder. They don't have a midfielder, a good midfielder, and they'll get run through again like last season. They didn't really need the attackers. Like this many attackers, they probably need two out of the three which they got. Sesko, Embuemo, and Cunha. And they really needed a very solid goalkeeper. And they got a hipster goalkeeper, Willemans. So let's see how that pans out for them. But I think so. The midfield is the one which will cause the problems. So that's the reason I think so. Manchester United will finish ninth. Could be lower, could be high. I think so. Manchester United is the most toughest to predict out of all these teams. I can really see them finishing 16th as well, and probably also in the relegation battle. But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They experience the benefit of the doubt and say they'll finish ninth. Then eighth place has to be Brighton. Again, another very good team, hipster team. Brighton always finishes about ninth or eighth, 10th. That's their position. And they can't really go to the next level if they sell all their players. So they will stay in and around this. I think so. The only excitement Brighton fans will really get is if they have a deep cup run. And I think so they'll do that. I think so they get good deep in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. And actually might win it as well because they have decent players to challenge anyone in this league. But in the Premier League, eighth is at a quite decent return for them. And I think so they're good. They're good for that. Then let's come to the UEL and UCL positions. The interesting ones, I suppose. Newcastle United have had a horrible transfer window, and I'm not buying into the hype of the 6'7" attack on Titan goal scorer striker that they have gotten. He was the seventh choice. Nobody wants their seventh choice. They got Visa, who's now injured as well. And I think so they'll struggle against a lot of high clubs, high positioned clubs or better clubs above them. And actually, seventh is quite decent for them, considering the fact that they lost their best goal scorer, will have Champions League and are a evolving club. Probably a FA Cup run, probably winning the FA Cup, sorry, deep Champions League run. That might help them. But other than that, I don't see them really challenging for the top spots of the league. Seventh is as far as I can get them. Now for the real surprise package of the season. I think so. It's already been spoiled by the fact that they have been so good in their first four games, but I think so. Bournemouth are absolutely amazing this season, and they'll be the Nottingham Forest of this season, like they were last season. Iriola is a excellent coach, and he's doing wonders with that team. And I see them getting Europa League football at the Vitality Stadium. It's going to be a joy for them. Now for the Champions League places, we have already seen who that's going to be, but let's just go through what I feel would be the positioning. Fifth would be the Spurs. Spurs are good. They're not 17th caliber. They weren't last year as well. They focused on the Europa League, but they should have never finished 17th. But this season, under Thomas Frank, who's an absolutely amazing coach, they're going to do wonders. Xavi Simmons, Mohamed Kudus, Randall Kolo Muani. Good signings. Good signings all around. Paulinia. It's it's a good team. And with Daniel Levy now gone as well, probably some voodoo is also gone from Spurs. And I think so they'll have a deep Champions League run because their group stage opponents are horrible. But they'll be very happy with fifth, and I think so some interesting things will go on at Spurs in the next 2 3 years. And Thomas Frank is an amazing manager for them. They were never built for the Mourinho's or the Contes, and Ange Postecoglou was just too extreme for them. I think so. This guy Thomas Frank is absolutely perfect for them. Fourth is fine for Chelsea, I guess. But I think they'll regress next season. I don't know if they'll regress this season, but they'll have a bad regression next season. And I don't think so as Enzo Maresca will keep his job after this season. I think so even if they get fourth, the hierarchy and the ridiculousness that is Todd Bowley and his crew will see the fact that they should be challenging for the title now. And fourth with this team, which is now growing, I think so they should do better than that. But that's what I feel they'll get, and that's what the early signs also show. Will they have a deep Champions League run? Possible, but I don't see them winning that. I think so they'll have a good cup run. I think they're a good cup team, so I think so they can win the FA Cup. But other than that, fourth, I think so that's a pretty good season. But I think so the ambitions will kick in, and they would want a better manager. The city we are seeing now is in the city which we'll see at the end of the season. They're much better than the 4 points they've got till now. And I think so it's just taking some time to gel with the players. And I think so with a good defense and with a good goalkeeper, Donnarumma coming in, I think so City will be pretty stable. I don't think they'll challenge for the league. I think so Pep is trying to make an interesting rebuild. This is the first time he's actually rebuilding a squad of a team. He didn't do it at Barcelona. He didn't do it at Bayern Munich. So it will be interesting to see. But he's the goat. He's one of the goats, and I think so. He'll have something up his sleeve, and probably next year, last hurrah. Is he on sack watch? Probably if he doesn't really do well this season. If he drops to the UEL places, he's as good as gone. But I think so they'll finish third. And I think so it will be a good rebuild season, and they'll probably have a very good season next year. Now for the interesting places. Obviously, I'm not going to put second first. I'll put the champions first, and the champions will be, well, we all saw that coming. Unbeaten, perfect in the first three games, even though they gave away a lot of goals. I think it was the last hurrah for this defense, and that's what they will need to look at next season. But that attack is so good. It's so good. Isaac, Salah, then you have Words, then you have got Frimpong, you have gotten Gakpo, you have Gravenberch. That's a treble winning team if I've seen one. And with the sad passing of Diogo Jota. I think this team is emotional, and I would never want to say that something like that is going to push a team to do well, but I think so. They'll do it for him. They'll do it for him. Easiest decision ever. Second place FC. They were always going to come second. They're second in the all time Premier League chart as well. They've been second all the time. They're second in the list of alphabetical order of teams in the Premier League. Second FC. Arteta ball. Haram ball. See, I think so. The problem with Arsenal's team is Arteta. I think so. There's a mentality issue. And I think they have a very, very good squad, which should win the Premier League. But it all comes down to the way they played against Liverpool last week. I think the mentality of defending and being conservative with their play against big teams is not right. I think so. They should have that swagger in them to beat anyone with the perfect way of football to play because they have the perfect team. And the fact that against Liverpool, they were compelled to put 5 DMs. It is not down to the players, that's down to Arteta and his mentality. And two things can happen when Arsenal, either they're very, very good, regardless of the mentality of Arteta, they win, or the mentality puts them back. And I don't think so. Arteta is a bad manager. The work he's done at Arsenal is amazing. But I think so. There needs to be that mentality change. And I haven't seen that in the first 4 weeks. I hope now that the transfer window is done and there's some clarity, I guess Arsenal does kick off and have a wonderful season. But I think there's a mentality issue. Their team is perfect. There's a mentality issue. And I think so we'll have a very decent title fight. I think so Liverpool, Arsenal will go toe to toe. I think so Arsenal might reach the UCL final as well. I think so they can go deep in that competition and in the Premier League as well. But I think so this is the last hurrah as well. If Arsenal don't win anything this season, that's bye bye Arteta. That's capitulation. I think so Arsenal will fall off hard if they don't win anything this season. So this is going to be a make or break season for them, and that's why it's going to be very exciting for the fans. It's going to be either jubilation, joy, or it's going to be heartbreak and something like what happened to Spurs after the 2019 final. I think so something like that can happen with them. Because I think so this is the peak of this team. If they don't win now, those players might never win again with Arsenal. And I seriously believe that. And I think so that's why it's going to be a very, very interesting season. But that was my league positions, my predictions. You have Wolves at 20th position, you have Burnley at 19, Leeds at 18th. Then you have West Ham at 17, Brentford at 16, Forest 15th, Sunderland 14th, Fulham 13th, Everton 12th, Crystal Palace 11th, Aston Villa 10th, Manchester United 9th, Brighton 8th. Then you have Newcastle 7, Bournemouth 6, Spurs 5th, Chelsea 4th, 3rd Manchester City, Arsenal 2nd FC, and the champions Liverpool.